Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my new favorite project management software called Notion. And I've been using Notion probably upwards of 6 months now. And before Notion, I had tried all the things. I have been on Trello, I've been on Asana, I tried ClickUp for a minute and it was a little overwhelming for me. And a friend of mine introduced me to Notion and I dove in, loved it, and haven't looked back. And so I want to share with you how I use it in my photography business and what I do with it, because it's more of a project management tool. I'm still using Honeybook for anything client facing. So answering emails and planning, timelines, questionnaires, all of that for my wedding and portrait clients still exists. But inside of Notion, I'm still organizing things like these videos or my blog posts, when I'm going to be a guest on someone's podcast, or projects, things that I want to do to maybe update my website, things like that. So I want to take you behind the scenes, share with you how I use Notion, and then also give you a little demo of how you can get started. Now I have to shout out another YouTuber here, Michelle B, who is the Notion guru. She has incredible templates that you can actually grab, and I'm going to link that down below for you guys so that you can get started. She makes them available for free. So if you want to get started, but it's a little overwhelming and you kind of just want to work off a template, be sure to check that out in the description section.
This is what I like to call my home base. This over here is my workspaces. So I created one called Home Base just to keep everything straight as far as what I'm doing in terms of checking things off, making content, and being able to reference everything in one place. Now, just remember, it's a little bit overwhelming when you first see it, but every single person's Notion account is going to look different. You can make this as complicated or as minimal as you like. So let me go ahead and scroll down and just show you a couple of really cool features. One thing I like about Notion is that it's very drag and drop. So I can drag this and let it take up the whole space, or I can drag it off to the side and do little columns, which is where I like this to be. Now this is a table, and this is an inline table. And you can kind of see right away that there's so many options for what you can do with your Notion account. And what I love about it is that it's simply just a type and go kind of situation. So I can show you here what you could do with anything that you need to do inside of your business. So if you take this text right next to it, it says you can turn it into any of these things. You could turn it into a heading. You can turn this into, maybe you have something that you need to do, so you make it a checkbox. You can decide, actually, I'd like this to be maybe a different color. So you highlight it and you can go to your colors, make it red. So this kind of thing. So I immediately, when I saw this, I fell in love with Notion because I like how quickly you can create really cool tables, graphs, embed images, keep your projects in line. So cool. So cool. So these are just a few ways that I'm currently using it on my homepage. You can also have a calendar. This is linked up to my master content sheet, which I'm going to show you guys that next. Now, so I can see very visually what videos are coming out on what days. And I also like having a vision board on my homepage, reminding me of what matters most in my life, why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and just keep me motivated. So love this. And this is really a great example of how you can create little galleries. You can have right here a calendar. Up here we can have a table. And then at the top you can have just plain text. So that gives you just a little bit of an overview of what's possible with Notion. But before we move on, let me go ahead and just add a page that we start from zero. So let's just call this YouTube video example. So this is a brand new workspace that we just created. And I love that it starts out just very blank. You can decide if you're going to import some files. You can use templates if you feel more, inspired looking at what other people have done. And then these are your databases, your tables, a board, which is very similar if you're used to Trello, a list, a calendar, a gallery, or a timeline. So you could just do empty with an icon. You can change your icon to, something helpful, let's say a thought bubble. You can also add a cover to your workspace, and then you can change your cover to almost anything. You could actually upload your own images. You can find one just by, searching, let's see, if we put in YouTube, let's see what comes up. Very YouTube specific imagery, super cool. So you can put whatever you want here at the top. So I really love the visual customization of Notion. Now, if you have a page, maybe you want to track your blog posts, maybe you want to track your content. You could break that up into a list or anything else that would help you to keep your life organized. And what I love is that you can actually decide visually how you'd like it to look. So what I'm going to do here is, let's make it just a to-do list. Okay, so this is just a great example of how you can very quickly and minimally add what you need to add. Let's say that you want to do a little line break between your list and the rest of your page. So then you come down here and you decide, let's pull in a page for the actual content. So if you do /, you can build anything with what's called your basic blocks. This becomes a page, and now this is a page within your existing workspace. Let's say this is your content. This is the workspace we created. This is what we named it. And then you have your page here. So really you could source all of your content, put it all in here, and it would be saved in a really beautifully organized way. So let's see if we can pull in an image. All right, let's just, for example, since I don't want to grab anything off of my computer, I'm going to grab this example image here and pull it in. So you can add your images almost like you would build a blog post itself so that you can keep reference of what you're talking about. If you have a screenshot of something that you'd like to come back to, you can put that in here. So I find Notion really, really helpful for gathering all the things in my life together in a place, in a way that I'm going to be able to come back to it when I'm ready. So a lot of times I will put screenshots. For example, let's go over into my company library. If I see a course, so I go to courses and education. If I see a course that I'm thinking about potentially taking, I would put it down to courses I want to invest in someday, books I want to read next, helpful PDFs that I might want to read. These are just PDFs that I've downloaded off of people's emails and websites where they give them out for free. And I decide to throw them here for when it's time for me to batch read for my business. So as you can see here, there's so much that you can do. This is where I keep track of all the courses that I own and all the logins for those courses, my homework for those courses. It's actually really helpful. So if I come in here, I had a Facebook ads course I started taking at the beginning of the year, and this was the information for that course. And so I have all of my schedule for the course, the notes for each chapter, the homework, things I needed to do, questions from my professor. So without trying to overwhelm you too much, let me go ahead and come back to my company library. This is really just a good spot to hang out so you can see the possibilities. But as we were talking about here inside of courses, you can keep lots of data very organized so that it doesn't get overwhelming. So one thing that I wanted to share with you guys is my content plan. So since my content exists on so many different places, including my YouTube channel, of course, my blog, I have an Instagram, we have the Photo Boss Facebook group, I decided to create a table for all that content. Now, this content, it might look a little overwhelming, but it's actually super organized. It has a status of what's happening with that content, where the content's going to exist, if it's related to any other content, which is an amazing feature that if you get into Notion, you're going to geek out on, the publishing date, the URL, and then the share and repurposing schedule. So for me, this is really helpful because if I create a blog post, as you can see here, I know later on that blog post is going to need pins for Pinterest. So this is just a fantastic way to keep on top of everything that you're trying to do. Now, what's really cool is that you can actually view this exact same table of information as a calendar. And when you view it that way, this might help you to see visually what's happening. I can see a newsletter and a video, a newsletter and a video. How cool is this, right? Joint venture webinar, newsletter, video, and then a live stream. So this is really, really cool. The other thing you can do is that you can create a view that looks like a Kanban board. So this looks very similar to what you might be familiar with inside of Trello. And you can break this up really any way that makes sense for you. Like here's just a content idea. Now it's a research phase. This is outlining, saved into drafts, needs B-roll, published. So you can see all my published videos are put here together. So I don't love the Kanban board style. I would much, much rather view things as a table. So personally, this makes sense for me. But what's really cool is that you can do whatever makes sense for you in your business. So going back to our blank page, I want to show you one more example. You do your / if you want to see any of the basic blocks. These are all the things that you can do to create the look and feel that you want for your Notion setup. And so what's really cool is something called a toggled list. So let's say that you have a ton of information, but you don't always want to look at that information. So maybe these are your blog post ideas. Inside of this, you can toggle the list open. So let's say you put all of this inside of this little drop down. I'm actually going to convert this over to bullet points. Actually, it didn't copy everything. So let me copy all this. And the cool thing is you're not really committed to any one format. I can turn these into bullets and say like blog 2, blog 3, blog 4. Okay. Then when you don't want to look at it, you can actually just put that away. So how cool is that? You could have this at the top, and then when you're ready to go into your blog post ideas, you open it and you put it like this, and then you can easily tuck it away. So there's so many options for what you can do visually inside of Notion, and that's really why I use it, because every other project management tool that I've looked at doesn't have this kind of customization as far as visually being able to make it what you want. The other thing is you can actually tag a person, which is really cool. So if you do the @ symbol, you can tag someone on your team to notify them, or you can do a due date. Maybe remind me tomorrow at this time. So you can really use this in any possible way, but you could set due dates on things, reminders on things, and put things like this inside of your calendar or notify your team. So if you have someone helping you with editing, this could be really amazing. And then right here up in the share features, this is where you would add someone to the workspace so that they can see what you're doing. You can give them full access, you can give them just commenting access, or just view access. So really amazing for if you're bringing on, maybe an editor for your photographs, or a social media manager or Pinterest manager for your business, any of those kind of things, you might want to add them to the workspace. And the really great thing is you can give them limited access to only what you want them to see. So if you have things over here on your workspaces that you don't want everyone to have access to, you will have total and complete privacy. So super amazing. And one of the biggest features that I love about this personally. I also use this for tracking the podcasts that I've been on, because I like to keep track of what topics I've talked about, where the episodes live, what the names of the podcasts were, the URLs, the graphics, and really once you start getting press in your business, this could be a fantastic way to keep track of all the places that you've been published or featured, or maybe all the styled shoots that you've done. So this is an amazing way to keep track. Now I have a whole nother table underneath of podcasts that I want to pitch. So the options are really endless here. And I hope that while this can be a little bit overwhelming, that this gives you some inspiration for what's possible in your business and how you can get started on Notion. Now, they do have free accounts right here. This is my personal pro plan. So I pay about $4 a month. It's super affordable for unlimited space, but you can totally get a personal plan and even a team plan for your business depending on what you need.
This has been just a brief overview of how I use Notion in my photography business to keep everything together and organized. I hope this was interesting and helpful for you. If you want to see more Notion or you have any questions about Notion, leave them in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. I make videos just like this one for photographers every single week. So I hope to see you next time. Bye guys.